Today is Friday, July 18th. We're talking about billions of dollars in government spending, now canceled. We'll tell you exactly what's being cut. Also, new reports of a letter from President Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. Trump says it's fake, but lawmakers are demanding more answers. Plus, a milestone for the crypto industry, a popular talk show canceled, and new interest in dog adoptions thanks to a movie in theaters now. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Congress voted to undo its own spending power and support President Trump's efforts to downsize the federal government. The House and Senate canceled $9 billion in previously approved spending meant for foreign aid and public broadcasting. It effectively codifies steps to slash USAID and other programs like it. It also cut off the corporation that oversees funding for NPR and PBS for the next 2 years, putting a lot of stations at risk of going dark, especially in rural areas. There was a lot of debate, but in the end, most Republicans ended up supporting the measure, especially after language was added to keep funding an HIV/AIDS relief program. All Democrats and a few GOP holdouts voted against it, including many who say it will hurt everyday Americans and undermine American leadership in the world. The cuts are the first time spending has been clawed back in Congress in more than a quarter century, and White House officials now say they want Congress to approve even more reductions and make them permanent. President Trump is facing even more heat over files related to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, now that a new report says one piece of evidence could be a letter sent by the president himself. The Wall Street Journal reports Epstein's friend and accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, collected dozens of letters from people who knew Epstein to give him as a birthday gift back in 2003, years before his first arrest. And the one Trump sent was, as the Journal put it, bawdy. It apparently included a sketch of a naked woman with Trump's signature written over her pelvic area. The Journal says Trump wrote, quote, "Enigmas never age." And the letter ends with the phrase, "May every day be another wonderful secret." Well, President Trump says the letter is fake and that, quote, "I'm going to sue the Wall Street Journal just like I sued everyone else." Either way, this is not the first time Trump has been linked to Epstein, and there are still questions about what the FBI may have about Epstein and his well-connected friends, including Trump. So many lawmakers are still demanding all information about Epstein be released. A new resolution sponsored by a Republican congressman already passed the House Rules Committee last night. But it's non-binding, meaning it's really just a formal suggestion for the Justice Department to release documents. Resolutions to force the DOJ to do so have so far failed. President Trump has basically told people to get over their Epstein obsessions since the matter was case closed. But he changed his tune last night a bit and called on Attorney General Pam Bondi to release grand jury testimony from Epstein. Of course, that's still not all the evidence the DOJ has, but Bondi says she'll take action on it today. Despite warnings from hundreds of Justice Department alumni and a lawmaker protest on Capitol Hill, Republican senators moved forward with one of President Trump's controversial judicial nominees. Remember, Trump nominated his former personal defense lawyer, Emile Beauvais, to serve as an appellate court judge. But as Reuters reports, more than 900 former DOJ employees warned the Senate Judiciary Committee against confirming him, saying he's blurred the lines meant to keep the DOJ independent from the White House. And yesterday, Democratic senators walked out of a committee hearing in a rare protest before all GOP members of the committee voted to advance the nomination. Beauvais has most recently been working at the Justice Department, and he's been at the center of the DOJ's most controversial actions, like a push to drop corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, and the firing of staffers who worked on prosecuting January 6th rioters. Also, a whistleblower says Beauvais encouraged staffers to ignore court orders about deporting migrants. Next, Beauvais still has to be approved by the full Senate. If he is, he'll have a lifetime appointment on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. The White House released an update on President Trump's health in response to some recent speculation about bruising on his hands and swelling in his legs. Trump's doctor clarified, saying the president has a common circulatory condition. It's not life-threatening, but it's also not reversible. Treatments include exercise, compression therapy, and taking medication like blood thinners. The White House didn't mention how Trump is specifically treating the condition, but says he's still in excellent health. Vaping brand Juul has gotten the FDA's blessing to keep its signature e-cigarettes on the market. Regulators cited Juul's studies that found e-cigarettes are less harmful for adult smokers than regular cigarettes, so they can benefit from switching. The decision applies to both tobacco and menthol-flavored versions of the product. It means Juul will now be one of only 2 companies allowed to sell menthol-flavored vapes, which many adults prefer. Juul already discontinued fruit and candy flavors that were especially popular with teenagers. Many groups still say all Juul products should be banned because of their role in triggering a years-long spike in underage vaping. The Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids called yesterday's decision a big step in the wrong direction. Still, it seems Juul is here to stay. We have more news for you still coming up, but first, a quick break to thank our sponsor, Wix.com. Whatever you think of AI in general, there are certain ways that it can be a huge time saver. And when you're starting a business, you need all the time you can get. Thanks to Wix.com, you can answer just a few questions and get a beautiful business-ready website in minutes. I'm talking generating unique visuals to an AI agent setting up a marketing campaign for you. Wix puts incredible website creation at your fingertips. Whether you choose the AI site builder or prefer to start from a designer-made template that is fully customizable, Wix allows you to create a website in a way that is easy and fun. When I first started a business, I realized that wanting to spend every minute creating your website was just procrastination from doing what you really should be focused on. Yes, having a website is super important. You need one. But Wix lets you do it in a way that won't waste your time and energy, and it'll still have everything you need in a beautiful design. Ready to create your own website? Go to Wix.com. That's Wix.com to start building your website today. Thanks to Wix for sponsoring our show. Now back to the news. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is being canceled. Colbert broke the news to his audience during yesterday's taping, saying next year will be the show's final season. CBS also announced the decision, saying it'll be retiring the entire Late Show franchise that was previously hosted by David Letterman. The network says it was a purely financial decision, even as there's been growing speculation of a rift between CBS's parent company and Stephen Colbert over political reasons. The show has actually been number 1 in late night for 9 straight seasons now, regularly beating competitors like Jimmy Kimmel Live and The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Now it has 10 months left before it winds down for good. A classic rock group decided to cancel its entire North American tour before it began, all because of weather. Steve Miller Band's tour was supposed to start next month and run through early November, with nearly 36 stops across the U.S. Then yesterday, a statement was posted online that said severe weather, like extreme heat and unpredictable flooding, poses a danger to the band, fans, and the crew. So all concerts have been canceled. It's a big turnaround since just a day before the sudden announcement, the group was still promoting the tour on social media. And now some fans are baffled. The band is known for songs like Fly Like an Eagle, Take the Money and Run, and The Joker. It's possible there's another tour in the future. Yesterday's statement also said, don't know where, don't know when. We hope to see you all again. Millions more Americans are now at risk of flash flooding along the U.S. Gulf Coast. At this point, Louisiana is at the greatest risk. And as of last night, several inches of rain had already fallen in parts of the state. But heavy rain could also cause trouble for other areas along the Gulf from Florida to Texas. Some big cities in the path of the flooding rain include New Orleans, Louisiana, Mobile, Alabama, and Gulfport, Mississippi. Several sandbag distribution sites were open yesterday as people prepared for the storms. The threat is likely to continue through tomorrow morning. Congress has now passed America's first major standalone crypto bill. The U.S. House approved what's being called the Genius Act after the Senate did the same last month. The bill mostly received bipartisan support, even though some Dems fought it, saying there needed to be language addressing corruption as President Trump's cryptocurrency empire grows. What it does do for the first time is set up a regulatory framework for the $250 billion stablecoin market that's expected to surge in the coming years. Remember, stablecoins are a type of cryptocurrency tied to the value of an asset like the U.S. dollar, and supporters say they'll fundamentally change the world of commerce. This landmark bill creates a pathway for private companies to use digital dollars with the government's blessing. It also sets up some guardrails for the industry, like monthly audits. Now the president is expected to sign it into law, while more crypto-related bills are still being considered. Stay tuned. It's being called the most hyped trend in artificial intelligence right now. We're talking about AI agents. They're considered a step up from AI assistants like Apple's Siri, Amazon's Alexa, or even the standard ChatGPT. And OpenAI just released its new version yesterday called simply ChatGPT Agent. The company says it can do more complex, multi-step tasks like create entire presentations and analyses. For example, you can ask it to make a 5-slide presentation on climate change for high school students, or analyze 3 of my company's competitors and then create a slide deck. And that's apparently all it takes for ChatGPT agent to create downloadable PowerPoint and Excel files that can still be edited if you want. You can also ask it to take actions outside of the platform, like look at my calendar and brief me on my upcoming meetings, or check my calendar for a free night, then cross-reference OpenTable to find openings at certain types of restaurants, and then book the reservation. But before it does anything irreversible, like sending an email or making a booking, it does ask for permission first. For now, ChatGPT Agent is available to users of ChatGPT's Pro, Plus, and Team tiers. Other companies like Microsoft, Salesforce, and Anthropic have released their own versions of agents already, and more tech giants are expected to do so soon. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, this episode is sponsored by Fatty 15. Okay, I admit it, I've felt some effects of getting older, and honestly, it's surprised me. I didn't think I'd already be feeling things like a sore back or stiff joints at times. So I'm doing everything I can for my long-term health and wellness, which is why I'm excited about our new partner, Fatty 15. Based on over 100 studies, there's information that says C15 strengthens our cells and is a key longevity-enhancing nutrient. In fact, Fatty 15 explains that when our cells don't have enough C15, our cells age faster. And when our cells age, our bodies age too. Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning, vegan, 100% pure C15 supplement that is said to have 3 times more cellular benefits than omega-3 or fish oil. It's vegan-friendly and free of flavors, fillers, allergens, or preservatives. Truly, there's no flavor or fishy aftertaste in this pill. I appreciate how easy it is to take in the mornings and has absolutely become part of my daily routine. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help you live healthier longer. And right now, you can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/newsworthy and using the code newsworthy at checkout. Again, get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/newsworthy and using code newsworthy at checkout. Now back to Feel Good Friday. The new Superman movie is a huge success at the box office, but the character who seems to be getting the most attention is not actually Superman. It's his foster dog, Crypto, who has apparently sparked a huge interest in pet adoption. The dog training app Woofs found searches for Adopt a Dog Near Me jumped more than 500% after the movie's opening weekend. And the search that included Crypto's specific breed, Adopt a Schnauzer, spiked nearly 300%. Director James Gunn shared on social media that Superman has been a barrage of blessings for him, that the extra interest in dog adoption may be the greatest. Crypto is actually based on the director's own rescue dog, who he adopted as he was writing the movie. As the story goes, Gunn was having trouble training the pup and wondered how much worse things would be if the dog had superpowers. Of course, even without superpowers, a dog can be a pretty big commitment. Woof's CEO put out a statement about the trend, warning people against impulse pets, saying, quote, "The hype will fade, but your dog will stay. So make sure you're ready to give them the time, care, and training they need and deserve." Well, thank you so much for listening today. We'll be back tomorrow with a special edition Saturday episode. We're talking about whether the government should pay people to have kids. We discuss why the birth rate is down, the impact of so-called Trump accounts, and more. That'll be in your podcast feed tomorrow morning. Then join us again Monday for your next daily news roundup. For now, thanks again for listening and have a great weekend.